interesting and unpredictable. But there's one thing that is so interesting that's related to aging, and that's a treatment in hyperbaric oxygen.
Hmm.
Have you heard about that?
Yeah, what? Yeah.
You have it on a list of questions?
No, I know of it. I've been
Yeah.
looking at it. Apparently it's a really good way to kill flesh-eating diseases. Like it like starves it or something. Like they really hate
Right.
it. Yeah, I don't know.
Right. So hyperbaric medicine started developing because a disease that divers used to get,
Bends.
but they use, right, the bends, and it's expanded to other use such as anaerobic bacteria. So those anaerobic bacteria, if you put them in oxygen, they die. So lots of people with wounds and with flesh wounds, and there's, other indications to use that. But there is a use for this in extensive use. For example, football. There are football clubs. The Steelers, for example, everyone who has concussion goes to a therapy in this oxygen chamber.
Hmm.
People who have mild cognitive impairment, they go there and they feel better. People who have traumatic stress, and that's a terrible disease, they cannot get their life together and nothing helps, they go to the chamber and it's better. But the latest study, which is one of the best study because it's a control study. In other words, half of the people got the treatment and half of the people got fake treatment. Okay. The people who got those are all people with long COVID. Those that got the treatment, the majority of them were totally healthy after a while. Okay.
Hmm.
So I think if you have somebody with COVID, you should look for this hyperbaric oxygen. I can give you things. The only thing, it's a big commitment. It's treatment every day for an hour or two for several weeks. So it's not there or affordable for anyone. But for me, when I heard that oxygen is a therapy, I was so mad. I said, are they out of their minds? I mean, everything we try to do is to give antioxidants, right? To stop the toxic effect of oxygen. So what? They're giving more oxygen. But the biology of that is so interesting that in my lab, I purchased an hyperbaric chamber, and I'm doing now experiments and showing actually that it has an effect of aging that is from mechanisms that are totally unpredictable by just listening to, just hearing that,
It's interesting. What is it about the hyperbaric chambers that allow it to have such an effect? Is it just over oxygenation? Like, do we know like what chemically or whatever's going on like the micro level to know why it's working so effectively?
So that's a great question. So there are two answers, and I think it's like remember the hallmarks. You one and you hit the other two. I think in most of those things you need more than one thing to happen. So the first answer is there is a decline in our small vessels. Okay, 40% decline with aging of small vessels, which means that we have a lot of cells that don't get blood supply. They don't die, but they're not alive either, okay, because they're just with low oxygen. Now, to give you a mask with 100% oxygen will saturate your oxygen, but it's not going to move out of the vessels. In order to move out of the vessels, you have to put it under pressure. So you double the atmosphere. You do it in 2 atmospheres. And in 2 atmospheres, the oxygen leaves the blood cells and goes around in the tissue and diffuses in the tissue and basically awakes cells that have been kind of out of it for a long time. That's one thing that happens. The second thing is actually low oxygen has, when you have low oxygen, you have actually the longevity factors. The things that are increased biologically with low oxygen are the ones that are protective for aging. So you're saying, well, that's the opposite because you're giving more oxygen. Yes, but when you take the body and give it high oxygen in 2 atmosphere, and then you return it to low oxygen in 1 atmosphere, you fool the body and it thinks that now it has no oxygen. So it increases all those things that are the biological things that are good for longevity. Both of those things probably happen, and maybe some other things happen. But it's quite striking that it came out of left field. It sounded awful, but all of a sudden there's another biology and another way to look at it.
Yeah, I'm reminded of